Greetings once again, guys. Just got out seeing the Australian premiere in Sydney of the brand new film from Marvel Studios, and that is, of course, Captain America: Brave New World. I guess it would be Captain America 4, technically, and that's thanks to Disney Australia as well. So it is an interesting kind of film. It has a number of weaknesses, I will say that. It's enjoyable. There's some good action sequences in it as well, and there's the introduction or reintroduction of quite a number of interesting characters without kind of spoiling things. Of course, it stars Anthony Mackie, who kind of took on the mantle of Captain America kind of towards the end of that Avengers Endgame film where Steve Rogers handed Sam Wilson the shield. And of course there was a series called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't necessarily think that you need to see that series, but in saying that, that Disney Plus series does help fill in a lot of gaps. But you could probably just watch Endgame and then straight go into this. It might be a little bit confusing. There is a lot of exposition that's given in that first act, kind of via a newsreel. I think that's kind of a little bit of a lazy way of doing it. And it kind of doesn't feel very much like a Marvel Studios film. There is this attention to detail, courtesy of Kevin Feige, just trying to make things perfect a lot of the time. The film feels a little bit lazy in some places, but there is good things in it. They're trying to kind of create this narrative and character and persona for Sam Wilson with this new version of Captain America, who kind of is very true and very authentic and has that level of integrity, much like Steve Rogers did. But there is a thing that's missing from this film, and that is Steve Rogers. Now I know he's kind of had his character arc kind of pretty much finalised in Avengers Endgame, but he really is needed for these kind of movies. There is a level of gravitas that Chris Evans, in that role of Steve Rogers, that kind of brings that he brings to these kind of movies, and I think it's really needed for this. But it does a good job in establishing Sam Wilson as Captain America. I just don't know if it kind of totally fits, and that's funny because I love Anthony Mackie in that role of Sam Wilson as the Falcon. I think he's fantastic, and he's a fantastic foil amongst all those other characters. But taking on that role of Captain America, there is certain qualities to him that kind of don't fit, and I'm not just talking about just abilities and the super soldier serum, I'm talking about other kind of things too. They don't quite kind of fit compared to what Steve Rogers and Chris Evans brought to those Marvel films. Now we get a returning character, Thunderbolt Ross, who happens to be the president in this. That role is taken on by the legendary Harrison Ford, and he takes on from the legacy that was created of that character by the late William Hurt. Now, he does a great job in that role, Harrison Ford. I think he provides a lot of emotional nuance to it. Arguably, I think he probably offers a little bit more than William Hurt did in many ways, but he's a great addition to this kind of film, and just his emotional range is fantastic. He just really is a legend on screen. I particularly adore what he brings to this film. Now, there's no spoiling it, it's in the trailers. He is also the Red Hulk. That is kind of pretty much in line with the comics as well. It is an interesting way they introduce it. It is that kind of set piece that everyone's looking forward to in the film. So that's kind of really interesting to see the way that all kind of plays out. But at the same time, I don't think the rest of the plot kind of really does a film of this kind justice. I mean, you see Captain America in the role of Sam Wilson. That's great. You also see the Red Hulk and Thaddeus Ross in the presidency. But the rest kind of is a little bit thin, I have to say. And there are some other interesting characters that kind of get introduced to this movie. Now, we see Samuel Stern's return in this, played by Tim Blake Nelson. He hasn't really been around since that Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. It's quite some time ago, but he does come back in this, and if you know, he does play a kind of quite a significant character in the comics. So he does kind of play a role in this, manipulating kind of situations, which is kind of interesting to see. Also, Giancarlo Esposito, he is quite good in it. He's quite formidable. He adds a bit of a level of gravitas to it as well, to probably overuse that word. He's really good in it. He plays Sidewinder, and it kind of is, he does have certain affiliations in this that really kind of bring a little bit more to the script. but the rest of it kind of is a bit flat in many ways, which is disappointing for me because I really do love these Marvel Studios movies. So there's probably a little bit more that needs to be kind of in this, but in saying that, some of those action sequences that involve Anthony Mackie, particularly there's this one in the middle of the ocean, I thought that was particularly fantastic. Really kind of amongst those aircraft carriers and the military. I thought that was really cool, and it really kind of does show that it's probably not something that many other characters could have done. I don't think even Steve Rogers could have kind of done that sequence. It's a very interesting sequence, and I think it's very well shot and very well put together. Obviously the Red Hulk stuff is really kind of cool to see on screen as well, but it does have flaws. First act kind of takes a little bit of a while to get going, lots of exposition, which is kind of a little bit of an issue, but really that's carrying forth from the lack of quality in some of those Marvel movies that have come out since Avengers Endgame. Now a lot of that's because of the previous regime of Disney, and the CEO, there was the former CEO now, they was trying to kind of pump out as much content as possible, which kind of sacrificed a bit of quality control, and I think you've had a few dud movies in there. Probably the most recent Spider-Man movie and Doctor Strange were kind of the best ones out of that lot, but there are some weaknesses, and this film is trying to catch up on that and fill that void. And I don't think it kind of really completely does it. But interestingly, it does kind of fit into the scheme of things. It kind of fills in a few gaps, and it kind of shows where the world kind of sits after that film, The Eternals. But really, there are a few kind of big projects coming up soon. There will be The Avengers, there will be Thunderbolts, and there will be Fantastic Four. Interestingly, I don't think this film necessarily leads that much into a lot of those. It kind of provides some background, but it's kind of showing where the Avengers kind of stand and how they've kind of essentially disbanded at the moment. But really, it is a good film to see. It is enjoyable. It does have action, but it's don't kind of go into this thinking it's going to be that quality kind of production that we've seen from Marvel Studios. With the final one probably being Avengers Endgame was kind of really a top tier thing. This last few years has kind of been trying to recover from that previous regime at Disney, I think. Now they're kind of back on track. You've got the former CEO in, Bob Iger. We've also got the recalibration of the role of Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel. So I think now we'll see a kind of a bit of a shift in that. But yeah, this is one of those kind of films, I think it's been in the production for a while. They've had a few little issues with it. Doesn't quite hit the mark for me. But in saying that, there's some great action sequences. Anthony Mackie is great in what he provides. He's a great performer on screen. I do really like him a lot. Harrison Ford offers a lot to this in the role of Thunderbolt Ross. He is fantastic as well, and it's really nice to kind of see Red Hulk. But aside from that, I am about to head off. Definitely catch this film while you can in the cinemas for the big screen experience, but you will enjoy it, but I just don't think it's kind of that top tier one that you'd really looking for or expect. But aside from that, I'm about to head off. I'll catch you guys on the next one. So long.
You asked for me. Here I am.
You want to help me?
Is there anything you remember?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Thaddeus Ross.
Whatever this is, Cap, be careful.
What do we know?
There were 5 shooters. This was a coordinated terrorist attack, sir.
I was a wartime general. Now I'm a wartime president.
Your inner circle's been compromised. Let me fix it.
Watch yourself. You're not Steve Rogers.
You're right. I'm not. Wait for it. We're on the brink of war. I can't trust anyone. Nothing about this feels right.
Captain America. You ever ask yourself, who's playing who?
Someone's been pulling the strings on everything.
You're under arrest.
I don't want a variable out there that I can't control.
Stop!
Captain America caught without his wings.
You like to play dress up and blindly execute the state's orders.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
What if this is a trap? You don't even know what this is.
Since when were they red?